I want to go back to what you said about unleashing radical generosity.
Yeah.
And just kind of the science behind generosity and the numbers. I would say statistically, people say that they believe they are generous people, whether it's their time, their resources, their money, whatever it is. But you and I both know, talking with nonprofits throughout the years, that the millennial generation, like my generation, although we are one of the most self-proclaimed generous generations, we are actually giving less. And you even talked about, just even with nonprofits, what is generosity, and why do you think we're giving less money as a generation?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So a couple parts. Let me answer. Look, I want to, number one, dispel a myth of generosity. And that is that the biggest myth is people think generosity is only about money. Actually, it's not. It's a part of generosity. Actually, generosity is a measure by which you live life or experience life, right? So if you've got a scale, you've got down on this end, you've got stingy, and then on the other end, you've got generous, right? And literally with everything, you could be stingy with your kindness or generous with your kindness.
Mm-hmm.
You could be stingy with your forgiveness or generous with your forgiveness. You could be stingy with finances or generous with finances. And the science on generosity is mind-blowing. It literally says that people who are generous will experience more joy in life, have stronger relationships, and literally they live longer, right? So we don't have to freeze our brain stems when we die anymore. If you want to live longer, just be generous. Like it literally, and when I think about generosity, I think it's very much intended that generosity actually is one of the ways you can experience being human in the most profound and powerful way. Even this week, I mean, we've been all over social media. The world is shutting down. It's chaos with this whole coronavirus deal. But these glimpses of generosity, we're sharing it everywhere, like everywhere. I had a really, really old, friend from long back. He just passed away a week ago. And all the pouring, like people are remembering his generosity and how he impacted the world. It's like generosity, literally, if you want to experience what it means to be human, learn to be more generous. Don't be stingy, but be generous. And the byproduct, like I said, is joy, better relationships, and you live longer. It's good.
Well, and it sounds too like, just from your friend, which I'm sorry to hear that, but the more generous we are, not only do we reap those benefits of that, but we're leaving that legacy for so many other people as an example of like, hey, this is a way to live your life from day to day, to be more generous with your words and your actions and all that stuff. So that's really cool. Tell me about an experience for you that you experienced the power of generosity in your own life.
Yeah. Oh, good, cool. So when I think it all changed for me. I was about 16, and it was the first time I'd actually ever was challenged to be generous in a real radical way. So at the time, I was working at my uncle's supermarket, and I'd been working since I was 14 and 9 months. And for all the time, I was saving my money to buy a new guitar and a guitar amp. That's all I wanted to do. And it was a beautiful guitar. Anyway, I worked a year and a half, saved up, bought the guitar, bought the amp, and I would just play it all day, every day. And then one day, there was a coworker who started learning to play the guitar, and we would chat and talk about it all the time. And I felt like I had this like feeling like I should give away my guitar and give it to this guy, which was insane. And I'm like, no way. Why would I do that? Like, I've worked a year and a half to save up for this thing, but I couldn't shake this feeling like I was meant to give it away, and it was meant to give it to this guy. Anyway, after like about 3 months, I finally, like, it was just really heavy on me, and I thought, well, okay, I'll do it. I'll give it away. And I remember turning up to work. So we'd turn up early and do the load in for the supermarket. And after we'd done the load in, I said, hey, man, come back to the car. I want to give you something. And we went back to the car, and I opened the trunk, or the boot, as we call it in Australia. And he saw my guitar and amp, and he looked at me, and I said, dude, I want you to have this. And he's like, no, I can't take that. That's your idol. That's your thing. I'm like, no, I really want you to have it. Like I just think, like, I could buy another one, but I want you to have this, like, just have it as a gift. And he was this really, like, he didn't know what to do, number one, but he ended up, I wouldn't let him walk away without taking it. And so he took it away. And I remember driving back in my car from that whole experience, and I was just weeping in the car because, not because I gave up something I loved, but actually the joy that I experienced in that moment of giving away a gift that meant so much to me, to somebody else, it was the most freeing thing I'd ever experienced. And it changed my life. It really did, because I thought, there is a lot more power in giving than receiving, or being generous than being even the recipient of generosity. And I'll just say, like, since that day, I've been given many guitars. Like, there's a guitar on my shelf. Can I go that way? Yeah. And that guitar there, that black guitar, was given to me by a friend long ago who played in a famous band. And that guitar was the guitar that played the main lick in one of these really famous songs. And he gave it to me. And I'm like, look, just over the years, I've just realized the more you're generous, it just comes back to you. It just comes back. And so that day really changed my life. And I thought, you know what, like, if generosity feels this good, I just want to do it in every way, shape, or form that I can. And
yeah.
So, yeah.
So would you say, I think about, that was an awesome story. Like, you're giving away something really big that you worked really hard and long for.
Yeah.
That's like a big thing. But like, even something small as paying for someone's coffee behind you in line at the coffee shop, I can't help but wonder, is there a connection between generosity and sacrifice?
I think for sure. It's when you sacrifice, it's hard. Like, it was not easy. It took me, almost 3 months of like trying to talk myself out of giving away this massive gift. Right. And looking back, it wasn't, it cost me a few $1,000s, but I was, as a 16-year-old kid, that's a massive amount of money. Right. But yeah, I think there definitely is this, sacrifice and the reward, the joy that comes back. I think there's something in that. I don't understand it all. I just know that it works, and that I've experienced it over and over in my life. And I've received it back. There was a time when Jody and I were just married. We were living in New Jersey, and we were so poor. We had no money. I'd just come to America, and immigration had lost my work papers, so I suddenly couldn't work. And we were it was the middle of winter in New Jersey, freezing cold, and we didn't have money for food. And I remember this one day, we just heard a knock on the doorbell ring. We went downstairs, and just outside my door was a whole bunch of food. Like, someone had just dropped off food at our house. And it was awesome. Like, I'll never forget that, being the recipient of somebody else's generosity. To this day, we don't even know who that was. But we had people like pay for our rents, and it was just awesome. Generosity makes you feel good.
It does. And I agree. I think the payoff of the sacrifice is worth it, no matter how big or small that it may feel at the time. But also hearing about, people coming around you during that time, whether you knew them or not, they were part of your community.
Yeah.
And I know that